All right, we call this meeting, town board meeting of May 14th to order at 7 p.m. Stand for pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so I want to open up the meeting with a quick comment and then we'll get to business. So there's an article in the paper today. I want to talk about it very briefly. I cannot respond to any questions or really discuss it right now. The board is confident, more than confident, that we'll be vindicated on everything. But I will respond in time, when the time is right. There's some things in process right now, and when I do respond, I will respond in excruciating detail. So please bear with us, and we'll take it to a conclusion when the time is ready. So with that, thanks for the minute. I'm going to open up the privileges of the floor. Again, I want to review the requirements. At every regularly scheduled town board meeting, the board shall have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting to be referred to as privileges of the floor, which will take place after the reports of the town departments and supervisors. Members of the public wishing to speak during privileges of the floor may sign a sheet before commencement of the town board meeting indicating his or her name, address, and proposed topic. Signing the sheet will indicate the order in which the persons are recognized to speak and will assure the town clerk has the correct spelling of their names and addresses for the minutes. Members of the public are restricted to their comments, or to restrict their comments to items of town business and are to observe proper decorum while addressing the town board. Persons who become unruly, use inappropriate language, or persist in speaking on items not related to the town business may be ruled out of order. Although there is no official time constraint, and speakers may address one or more items in their comments, they should be considerate of others and try to limit the remarks to no more than 5 minutes so that all interested members of the public have the opportunity to be heard. So with that, I'll open up the floor to privileges of the floor and public comment at 7:03. Do we have the sign-in sheet?
Yeah, and I signed it. And I signed my note first, but, shall I move this thing?
Yeah.
Thank you. Paul Golding, 162 Overlook Lane, and it says on there for subject comp plan. I want to read you an email that I wrote this morning, but you need a little bit of background for it, so. This is our draft of the comprehensive plan. We finished the strikeout version, that is to say the version where it shows what's been removed from it and what's been added when. We finished that about 5 or 6 weeks ago as a committee. And we presented it before the board in that version, the strikeout version, about a month ago. And we addressed concerns from Bob, from Lou, that I felt basically we all agreed where we were going and what had been done. The committee was here in its entirety, so we were able to address specific questions that Lou had about removing certain sections, and we did. We all agreed that was a good idea. So basically, that was where it was, and it was going to be presented here and now, but we kind of ran into some problems in getting it transcribed by our secretary. So we had to have another meeting last Thursday. 4 of us were there, Doug and Mary and David and myself. And we cleared up the confusions of the bizarre number that appeared 12 times during a document for no reason, and things like that. But nothing in substance changed. the document was a document. Mike volunteered to, once Mary, who has done a terrific job on this, got the version cleaned up and the strikeouts removed. We had it printed up in a PDF file and distributed to the members of the committee who weren't there and to ourselves, so we could read it on paper and make any final changes and be done with it. And unfortunately, Mike also chose to share that version, that copy, this, basically with a few other people in the town, primarily business people who had objected to the previous draft of the comprehensive plan. And I understand the motives, and I don't believe there's anything evil in it, but it set off an S-storm of emails from various people and ended up with my receiving this morning one from Mary Sue Reed that she had sent to Mike and had copied to me and a bunch of other people. The last sentence of which was, "Now I also wonder if Mr., and I won't give his name, blank, and maybe others in town unduly influence certain members of the Comprehensive Plan Committee." I wrote this, and I want to share it with you. Mary Sue, since becoming chair of this committee, I have had one goal: to get this damnable thing sorted out and passed for the benefit of all residents of this town. I have been influenced by Christopher Alexander and a dozen other authors I have read over the years, period, full stop. I am tired to death of the bickering between the factions. I agree that Mike, in his naive attempt to solicit agreement, has acted prematurely and unwisely, but please don't make unfounded accusations that only add to the disharmony. I attended every meeting since Pat left, and I am certain that whatever their influences, all members of the committee spoke their minds, listened to others, and came to agreement on the draft that we collectively edited and rewrote. We will officially present it to the board at its next session in 2 weeks, and I intend to make some remarks at that time to attempt to summarize what we have accomplished. I hope that as many citizens of this town will attend that meeting as possible. I promise my remarks will be short. In the meanwhile, can we all please try to refrain from conspiracy theories and petty backbiting? We are, as citizens of Princetown, better than this. I really believe that.
Deborah?
My name is Debbie Gentile. Certainly. My name is Debbie Gentile. I live at 3193 Gifford Church Road, directly next to the water pump station. First of all, I appreciate how the town has tried to mitigate the fact that it's a municipal water station by having trees and grass, and I appreciate that greatly. I'm very much in favor of the solar power being put in there and the solar panels being put in there. I have two concerns. One, when they put in the additional building lots, I came before the board and talked about the fact that we have a lot of water problems because that part of Gifford Church Road is a slope, and the more trees they take down, the more water settles on our property. And we, sometimes during the year, we have like a little river running through it. So my concern is that we were told that some of the trees are going to be taken down so that they will not block the solar panels. My request is that the beautiful white pines, which is what I think they are, be either moved to the side where the new house was just put in, or to our side, because I think the fewer trees, the more trees that are removed, the more water problems we're going to have. And also, they serve, and anyone who lives up on that part of the hill knows that that is quite a wind tunnel. And we have had siding blown off our house. Finally, those trees are getting to a point where they're blocking the wind a bit. So my request is that when the solar panels, which I'm more than happy to have great big ginormous solar panels next to my house, if the town would kindly ask whoever is building them, if instead of tearing down the trees, if they could move those trees to either side of the property so that it would mitigate the water problems that would even get worse than what they are now. Okay?
You said you had 2 items, or?
Well, that was it. Well, no, it's one item, but it's the water and the wind,
Okay.
okay?
Can I talk to you after the meeting, or are you gonna stay for the whole thing, or?
How long do you take? I have a granddaughter at home.
It depends how chatty I get.
Okay, I'll see how late you
I think we
go.
have a proposed solution now.
Oh, okay, good. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. Melanie Whiteley.
My name is Melanie Whiteley. I live at 3478 Pangburn Road. Last month, Norm Miller stood here and laid out a sob story of his tarnished reputation, lies that are being told about him, and how he is a victim in a cruel game that he started years ago. After preaching how all this needs to stop, he then went after myself, Judge Van Wert, and Clerk McLean. As I have seen Miller in action, this is the beginning of his classic smear campaign. You see, Miller loves to play politics this way, telling lies like they are fact-based on quotes taken out of context and harassing town officials with a small group by his side at monthly board meetings. I watched him do this to Muriel Peterson and Nick Morris Sr. For the 2 years I was supervisor, I endured this harassment and slander by Miller and his small group he assembled. Over those 2 years, I spent more time collecting documentation and explaining the truth than I care to remember. No matter how many times the truth was proven by myself through documentation, Miller still preached the lies like they were gospel. Now that Miller is being called out on his antics, he doesn't like it very much. Years of these tactics, as Miller likes to call them, are finally catching up to him. For the past 17 months, I have been in my, quote, private life, yet the harassment fails to cease. I have stayed away from all of this craziness, but I am here tonight as a result of Miller's speech last month. I am fed up with being the scapegoat for this administration and want to once again set the record straight. No documentation left in the supervisor's office. In his victim speech, Miller started off with the example of Mike entering an office full of empty filing cabinets. When I entered the same office, those cabinets were empty for me as well, with the exception of a few files left behind by Mrs. Peterson. With that, Miller and Joyce swear the reason is that I stole all of these documents out of the office upon exiting. Mike has accused me of this in a harassing letter to myself and shared that in public. Were the filing cabinets empty upon Mike and Norm's arrival of my files? Yes, they were. That is the only true part. The reason they were empty was that the files I used were all my personal copies of town documents. All board members possess these types of documents. The town clerks, past and present, always kept the original. All that we ever received were copies. The files in my office were full of copies. The copies contained my personal notes, therefore owned by me. The town's attorney advised me that I was under no obligation to leave them for the incoming supervisor. The originals were and are stored where they belong, in the town clerk's office. All mail was opened by the clerk. This was the practice here for decades. The reason? So that all town documents were safe at town hall. This assured that no one walked off with the originals. This was an excellent practice of record keeping. The statement was made by Miller that Joyce had to handle affairs of the town without any documentation. That is a false statement. Clerk McLean has offered on many occasions to provide Joyce with the documentation he requested from her. Joyce refused the offer. If documents were not in the files in the clerk's office, I never had them. What benefit would I have had in keeping them? Since 2012, few documents have been turned over to the clerk. Who has them and where are they housed now? This is a scary notion considering they are at risk of never being put in the proper place. Those documents are archives of the town. The egos need to be put aside, and the documents need to be put where they belong. Let's talk about water bonds. Miller stood here last month and said that I wouldn't refinance the bonds. This has also been stated by Mr. Esposito. Miller also stated that when I was asked about refinancing, that I said it was very complicated. Those two statements, taken out of context, are true. Let's start with the first. In 2010, I did not support refinancing of the bonds after much research. Over the years, Muriel Peterson, Nick Mora Jr., who's a CPA by the way, and I all researched refinancing the water loans. Each time it was determined that in doing so, even though we could achieve lower interest rates, it also meant shortening the terms of the loans. To that, you add closing costs and bond counsel. By refinancing at that time, it would have raised the cost to all of the residents in the water district, making it unaffordable, and would have placed hardship on many. Why would we do that to our residents? We had already had many complaints about the cost of the water, and raising the cost for the sake of a shorter term would have been ridiculous. Therefore, we did not move forward. This year, for this board, Miller, Esposito, and Joyce, there is a different financial climate. Now it appears to make sense. For this, I will give credit where credit is due. What is being offered now was not an option for us then. Better rates and longer terms. Mike, you and the board have made a wise decision if it pans out like you said. But please do not forget that your board made the 4th attempt at this. For this board to make the move to refinance now only makes sense. I support the decision to do this, but let's be truthful about why it was not done in the past. As for the second quote, it's complicated. I'm sure that you will agree that this task is very different than refinancing a single mortgage. Right? What I meant when I said that was that there were many loans with various terms that had different interest rates and involved dealing with different types of loans, primarily USDA, that came with strings. That said, it is complicated. To make sure that everyone benefits takes many different steps. In 2011, I was ridiculed by you, Mr. Joyce, in an editorial implying that I would refinance my home but not the town's water bonds. A comparison of apples to oranges. I made a valiant attempt at refinancing but kept the residents' interests first. Enough already. The Comptroller's report. Let's see. Miller, you and Joyce could not wait to get the Comptroller's office in here after I left. They came and looked through documents. It is my understanding that everything was up to par and no report was generated. Why wasn't that shared? Was there a report? Was there a Comptroller's report?
There's no back and forth, Melanie. This is your opportunity to speak.
Okay, so there wasn't, but we don't mention that. In my years of service to the town, I am proud of the things that the boards I served on accomplished. As I have given this board credit for the water bonds, I have never once been given credit by this board. There is a traffic light at the intersection of 7 and Pangburn that I spent many hours on. Due to the hurricane, it did not come to fruition under my watch. That was about health, safety, and welfare of the residents, and most are happy to have it there. I have not heard mention of the bridge work being conducted on Pangburn Road. That bridge was slated to be closed completely for the length of the project, which is 6 to 8 months, but I fought for a single lane so that it would not cut off the access to the south end of town. No one mentions that either. When I served as supervisor of the town, my focus was the residents, not what accomplishments I could put on my palm card for campaigning. Although I think that solar panels at Town Hall could be a great money saver, I can assure you that the residents who live on Parker's Corners Road, who fear their safety upon pulling out of their driveway on a daily basis, could care less about them. As supervisor, I went to almost every water break to support George Meade. I stood by Dan Marciniak's side while we had to take a building down. I pulled weeds here at Town Hall, knocked on doors with the fire department during the evacuation of the flood, and went to Chaumont School at 9:30 at night, that same night, to tell residents that the evacuation had been lifted, and followed 2 elderly residents home to make sure that they made it there safely. Those were things that were important to me. What here is important to you? People or politics? I've been out of office for 17 months and the harassment still continues. Mr. Miller, I promise you that if you don't stop harassing me, that my attorney and I will take legal action against you. The difference with me is that you are currently a town official who is going after a town resident. I am sure a judge will not look lightly on that.
Kathy Hasbrook.
Kathy Hasbrook, 2627 Givers Church Road. Up until this time, I've chosen not to speak publicly about various issues that have been brought up by either the new administration or residents supporting the new administration. Last month, Linda Cusick of Skyline Drive spoke to the board about previous members of various boards that resigned after the new administration came into the office. I was one of those people who resigned as chairman of the Civic Committee, and I'll tell you why, in hopes that this present administration can understand what happens when negative campaigning and constant maligning of previous administrations continues. After Mr. Joyce came into office, one of the first civic committees he came to, Mary Sue Reed, Mary Bologna, and I were there. He introduced himself to everyone and then wanted to know what the civic committee did. I was very surprised that someone who had just been elected to office had never attended a civic committee meeting and evidently didn't have any interest until he came into office. I had been involved with this committee since our bicentennial event in 1998, and we had tried to organize various activities throughout the years to bring our townspeople together. We had bands at the town hall, movie nights, dances at the Tree Farm restaurant. We tried to go where the town people were, for example, paying for bands for the chicken barbecues at Plotterkill, etc., representing Princetown in various parades, working on Princetown historical books, computer input of historical records and historical displays for various events in town. Our committee had representatives from both the north and south end of town, and we always put notices in the newsletters informing residents of upcoming events and inviting them to participate. The only thing I knew about Mr. Joyce was that Norman Miller was campaigning with him, and they had badmouthed my daughter to many people in town. People that came back to us and told us what they had said. My personal experience with this was with the 9/11 ceremony that the Civic Committee had worked very hard on. We had contacted all the public officials in the area with personal invitations, Republican and Democrat. Because Kent Gray was our county legislator at Memorial Board's ceremony 10 years before, we asked Angelo Santa Barbara, our present legislator at the time, to MC the event this time. It was not a political move, but rather a respectful choice made by the entire committee. Yet Mr. Miller wrote an editorial in the Daily Gazette after the event stating it was a politically motivated event. Mr. Miller, there was no truth to that statement at all. In my opinion, it was a slap in the face to all the hard work and time that the Civic Committee put into that event. I chose to resign, not because there were sour grapes over the election. My family and I are very supportive of the election process. It's one of the things that makes this country a great nation to live in, but rather because of the underhandedness of the present administration. Mrs. Cusick talks about keeping the rural nature of our community. Mrs. Cusick, no one is more supportive of that idea than my husband and I. Again, that awful rumor mill that was going around when the elections were going on was that my husband and I wanted to develop our farm. There is no truth to the matter. Joe, we heard that you were one of the ones that said this. We are one of the few farms that are still working in Princetown. When my husband worked on the comprehensive board, there was absolutely no self-interest involved. At no time have we ever talked about developing our land. In fact, we bought my husband's grandmother's farm to prevent the property from becoming developed. But if we or our children or future generations do choose to sell it, what happens to the farm will be between us and any future buyer. It's not right for any resident or town board to put unreasonable restrictions on personal property. I agree with Nick Mora, who stated that this has to stop. There are no stupid people involved in either the last administration or this one. There are no perfect people. My daughter's administration has been brought up a number of times, which supposedly she didn't do the right thing. Well, I don't agree with the manner in which Judge Van Oort has been treated. While you feel your actions were justified, there are many ways to resolve this issue. At no time was it right to treat a loyal employee such as Michelle the way she was treated. You left her very busy office understaffed, appointed her to the clerk position twice in the same year, and then left her hanging with a 2-week termination. Totally uncalled for. Not the way to treat people. You could have at least given her the courtesy of getting to the next organizational meeting to resolve the issue. If the board was really sincere about this issue, they should have called in someone from the court administration and have them review the workload, follow their recommendations, and staff the office accordingly. It should be based on an independent analysis, not a politically motivated one. Those resources are available to the town. So when I resigned as chairman of the committee, it was not to leave because of negative thoughts, but rather not to be put part of an administration that was so hurtful and malicious in the recent past. After seeing what happened to Michelle, it reinforced my decision to not be a part of such an administration. I hope Mrs. Cusick can see her perception of things and mine are very different. It doesn't make her right or me wrong, but rather two individuals with different perceptions living in the same town. When Mel was running for office and we were getting the feedback from residents as to what was being said about her, I gave her the advice to go the high road. Don't get into mudslinging because it's just a reflection of the person who's saying it. Now I'm saying it to you. Let's all try to follow the philosophy that if you haven't got something good to say, don't say anything at all. Let's stop with the anonymous letters. If you have a point to make to another resident, identify yourself, man up.
Paul Hasbrook.
Paul Hasbrook, Gifford Church Road. I've got 2 items. First item, at the March meeting, there was discussion by the board about, again, the water bonds that,
Excuse me. Except one meeting, please? Sorry.
there was discussion by the board and you, Mr. Joyce, about the water bonds that were being looked into for upgrade for the 2 districts, the parent district and the extensions that were put on those. I asked specifically what the numbers were going to be. You rattled off some, we're going to save approximately this and we're going to do approximately that. And I asked specifically about the extension terms of those bonds, whether we were extending the time frame from what the original bond said for the parent district into the future, which would force the parent district to pay a longer period of time, being that those people had already paid into it for 12 years. I've never gotten a response at all from anyone on the board, nothing from the water department, and now I read in the Princetown newsletter.
The answer is no. The terms aren't extended. They're exactly the same.
I'm asking, the simple question is, I read in the recent Princetown newsletter some more generalized information about this. The people in these districts deserve to have all the facts, figures, and numbers. Now I understand that you've gone ahead and moved forward with this. No one in the districts have a clue what's happening. I'd like to say to you, how would you like someone to come in and refinance your mortgage and say, oh, that's great, look what I did, I refinanced your mortgage, I'm gonna save you 20 bucks a month. But, oh, I'm sorry, it's gonna cost you more at the end because we extended. You would like to know exactly what those figures are before this moves forward. I consider it to be poor stewardship that you have not contacted the people in these districts to let them know what is taking place. You've taken it upon yourself. That is not the job of the board. When these districts were created, every person in that district knew exactly what the numbers were going to be. That has not happened. I'm requesting, again, that you please send to the residents of this district everything that is being done in regard to the refinance of these water bonds. The answer, no, I want to see it in writing. That doesn't do anybody any good to say, no. This funny, Joe? You seem to think everything is funny. It's not funny, is it, Joe? We're talking about people's taxes, tax dollars. This is not an issue that is a town-wide issue. This has to do with the district, of the water district people, and the taxes that we pay. Second issue. I'm here speaking on behalf of Mr. Wayne Blessing. Mr. Blessing addressed this board at the March meeting, specifically you, Mr. Joyce, about an email that he sent to you on February the 14th. Yes, it's back again. Unfortunately, during that meeting, anyone who happened to be in attendance will note during the video of that meeting, his entire segment was mysteriously removed. No one in the town ever heard anything about this letter. He asked me to speak tonight because he could not be there. So we're going to ask again. We have a new videographer. Is the tape on?
Yes, the tape is on.
Thank you.
Don't get me involved in this.
Pardon me?
Don't get me involved in this.
I'm not getting you involved in it because you weren't here.
Well, then save your attitude then.
Pardon me?
Yes,
Give
you
your
heard me
comments to the
right.
board, Mr. Hasbro.
So let's reiterate. An email was sent to you and only you with comments that he had for the supervisor. That letter was forwarded to a fictitious Ellie Hansen. And the letter says in the first line, I was given a copy of your email by the town supervisor. Who did you forward it to? If you were the only person that email was sent to, how did it get to this mysterious person? We still don't have an answer.
This isn't a back and forth.
It's not about
It's
this.
water finance, but it's not now. Okay.
Well, I didn't believe you when you said you didn't know the answer then. And I don't believe you now. December 2011, you sat in this room and were asked point blank if you knew anything about Joe Jasinski's injury. And your statement was no. Don't know a thing. In January, he thanked you for being one of the first people to his aid when that incident happened. So if you think that we believe what you say when you say things like this, I think you're extremely mistaken. This is a FOIA request for the email that was sent to you and where it was forwarded to. I think the people of Princetown deserve to know what continues to go on with this administration. Communications are one of the most important things that the town has and the residents have. Those communications are being hidden. This is a perfect example of it. We've dreamed up people. I think we all know where the letters are coming from, but I think it's time we all find out how they're getting to that individual. Thank you.
And Lisa Carandi.
No, I'm all set, Mike, thank you.
You sure?
Yep, for now.
No, this is it.
There's a part two.
Huh?
There's a second half.
At this time, unless there's further comments, we're going to close privileges of the floor at 7:35. Let's go to old business. Highway.
Well, I got two issues. Bob Myers has made an appointment with Joe Ryan, and we're gonna get together Thursday,
I'll be there.
okay,
I set it up.
to talk about what we got, the plans on what we're gonna get done this year. And he'll probably give us an estimate on what's gonna cost us. The other thing was, I met with the contractor on Rudy Drive. Very happy that something was going on there. The homeowner is going to take and correct the problem we had all winter with the water going into the road and freezing. And I spoke to him and he told me what he was gonna do and I liked it. He's gonna put an underground thing. I got a picture of one they had done before. And it's gonna, the water's gonna run into it and it's gonna screen it, and so the mud and stuff doesn't get into it, and we're gonna put it into our storm sewer below the road level, so it doesn't go in the road. Which, give me a picture of some of the one they did, and I liked it, and I gave permission to do it, go ahead with it, you know? So you're gonna pass it down when I see the sketch of what it's like. And that's about it. The roads are all, I have no problems with anything with the roads up to now. So that's all. Thank you.
I'll see you Thursday morning, 7:15. Thanks, Nick. Any questions for Nick? Okay, Nick. Water Department, George has probably got an early start tomorrow, so I don't really think he's got anything. Code enforcement, is Dan Marciniak still here? Can you find him? He's still here. Justice.
I'm good, thank you.
So, that used computer, how do you want to arrange the transfer?
This is the fourth month you've asked me for it, Mike. You've never even, you keep asking me about the computer. I said, yes, it's there, it's ready.
Okay, so we probably got use for it. Do you want to just drop it at the clerk's office?
I'll give it to you when I leave tonight.
Perfect. That security breach, is that a closed item now?
I don't have any comment on that right now.
Court clerk hire.
You got my email on Thursday.
All right. Does the board have any comments on the court clerk hire? Otherwise, I guess I'm just gonna call Michelle and say, you know, there's no interest right now.
No, I sent you my email and I sent all of the board members a copy of it. That
Okay.
my choice is Ronnie Edwards, and that's what my final choice is. It makes the most sense for the town.
No. And I took an objective and moved it out of either my slot or Lou's slot, but we're doing some comparisons and I've kind of moved it up and hopefully you can provide some input on how we can reduce the court security cost by like 50%.
Show me what you have.
You sign off don't you sign off the bills every month?
I haven't been I've only signed them once. In the last quarter. I haven't seen a new bill recently, so.
Well, how much is your budget?
22,000, I believe, or 20,000.
So the challenge is, or, you know, the objective here is to see if we
The
can.
court can't reduce its, the court reasonably cannot reduce its security by 50%. We got a recommendation by the Office of Court Administration for 2 security officers, and that will be what I maintain for the rest of the year.
Well,
And that's what's been appropriated for the 2013 budget.
I understand what's been appropriated.
Yeah.
My question really is, you know, if we're trying as a board to reduce costs, you
And
know,
you
I've
want
worked with,
price on the
I
cost
talked
of
to Renee
something
in Dwaynesburg and they cut theirs in half.
Do you want to put a cost on something going wrong? Then you want to put a dollar value on what could happen in the court with no security or limited security? And we're not
Asking you to
Dwaynesburg.
to look into reducing costs.
Maybe next year.
Okay. All right. Dan, any questions for Michelle? All right. Dan, we haven't seen you in a while. How you doing?
Good, good.
office here looking for you. Mark Amador,
Oh.
wanted to meet you.
I'm here.
You were in your meeting, so. He dropped off his paperwork for the ball fields.
Good.
So I guess they're going through the planning stage on the 23rd. Is that the next scheduled meeting?
I think so.
Yeah. This month permits are up. We have a new house start on Gifford Church Road. Another hay barn, actually 2 hay barns. So permits are moving along this month. 5, 6, 8 permits so far this month, which we had 7 for the previous 4 months.
Can you do me a favor? Can you speak up a little bit?
Sure. Permits are up. We had 8 this month. We had 7 for the previous 4 months. So things are starting to move in the town. Complaints are coming in. We've had a few properties go in disrepair. We have a foreclosure on Quackenbush. I've been in contact with the holding company. They haven't done anything, so I have to call them back. That's at it's right across from Desmond's farm. I don't have the address. There's a barn falling down on Florida Road. I got a complaint from the neighbor. I have to go out there. Birchwood down in the hollow. We have a vacant property abandoned and the doors are wide open, so it's a property maintenance issue. That's the lawyer, the attorney out of White Plains area. I dealt with him 2 years ago when the property was being rented illegally and so on. So I have a call into him. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I'll be calling him again.
Okay.
1243 Quackenbush was the vacant house. Other than that, hopefully spring and summer's here, things will start moving. It's been slow.
Good deal. Question for Dan?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Favorite dog control officer in the world?
There is no such thing.
No one likes to see me.
Now that the weather has gotten nicer, everyone's windows are open and everyone has let the dogs out, so to speak. And complaints have really increased over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Just a reminder to the residents of town who have dogs that having your dog running at large off of your property is a violation of local law. Your neighbors don't like it, especially when they cause trouble when they do that. And having your dog not licensed, whether it's on your property or off your property, is still a violation of New York State and local law. So keep your dog safe, keep your neighbors safe, and keep them happy. Please limit the dog barking as much as you can. I know it's difficult, but the windows are open, and the neighbors are wishing it was January where they could keep the windows closed. So just keep those thoughts in mind. If you have any questions about what the law states, I have had a few of those. Just kind of weighing their options, seeing what the laws were, and weighing it against possible problems with the neighborly relationship down the road. So if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. My number is on the town website. There are some things on the website I'm waiting to be updated, including the new local law, which is not yet. But what is updated on the website is, of course, the Schenectady County Rabies Clinic, which is coming up again, June 15th, Central Park, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. for cats and ferrets, and they need to be in cages, and between 11 and 12 for dogs. All dogs must be on a leash, and if your dog is current on rabies, bring your current rabies certification. Otherwise, they're only going to get a 1-year rabies. If you can prove that the dog has already had a rabies, and this is just a booster, then you can get the 3. Donations are appreciated, although it is free for Schenectady County residents. And again, that's June 15th at Central Park Pavilion. And,
other than enumeration, that's all I have.
I see you took this suggestion and updated the
Letter.
letter. So appreciate that. So I guess I'm good with Darrell for right now. You guys, did you guys take a look at it?
Good job,
Thanks,
And just to give you just an idea that I'll be pulling a listing of labels for all the residents of town, sending out a letter to them at the end of May, just to let them know that effective July 1st, that there's going to be an enumeration going on. You have between June 1st and July 1st to get your dog licensed if it isn't already. After July 1st, you will still be required to license your dog, but you will be assessed a $25 enumeration fee until the end of the enumeration period, which I presume will probably go through the end of the year.
This is gonna be the second letter?
That's the first letter, just to tell them what's going on. If you register, or if you license your dog before July 1st, this is your fee. If after July 1st, this is your fee. And it's spelled out pretty clearly in that letter. But the public notice will be in the paper on June 1st, letting them, give them 30 days notice that July 1st, this will be starting. And it will be hopefully up on the website as well. And will continue to be maintained there until the enumeration is complete.
All right.
Do you want me to put this in? Well, I just wanted some feedback from the board to see what they thought, and, you and I can talk after. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Karen.
I think it sounds good.
Good deal. You guys?
It looks very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gino, you got just a quick update on,
Joe and I, hammering out some needs of the town, trying to come up with some, see if there's a grant out there for a specific need that we have for the town. So really the main thing is the town, the needs that it has really can't support most of the grants that are out there. Ultimately, this town is actually considered to be a higher income bracket as far as income when it comes to the town overall median household income of this area. So it's it's going to limit us to the number of grants and opportunities that we're going to have coming this way. And grants are very limited to begin with, considering the budget and everything with the state. So we're still working on it. Hopefully we can come up with something that we can utilize for the town.
good deal, thanks, Gino. And Carol?
I don't have anything.
So I had a note in here, I just wanted to follow up. Resolution 1362, the vacant land, did you, I guess part of the request was that you were going to send out a copy to the state.
Is that the building?
Yep, the vacant land one.
I don't remember. I will let you know.
All right, can you do me a favor, if you do forward it, just copy the board so we can, that'd be great. All right, town council, Mr. Myers.
Well, the highway, and Nick has already briefly touched on it. We've been in touch with Joe Ryan. We are meeting with him Thursday morning, and he hadn't received any of the road work from our last meeting, so we're going down and going to go over all of that and work on the 284 agreements, and also talk to him about the Parker's Corners project. And so, that's in the works, and we'll see what we can get rolling. So we'll have more information on that hopefully by next meeting. So
Good deal.
that's all we've got right now.
All right. I did send, there's a few roads with projects coming up this year, the county sponsored, I think Reynolds Road, Maiden Road.
I guess when I had talked to him, he hadn't received it as of yet, so that's what he was talking
All
about.
right. All right, I emailed him, so he should have everything we need. All right.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lou.
We've got on here reduce heat and air conditioning costs. Over the past winter over here, I observed that the air conditioning was running all winter, kind of conflicting with the heating. I don't know why that system was designed like that, but I shut the air conditioning units out outside, so we saved on that.
certainly helped on the heating costs. I did have National Grid come in. They were already here once before to check the lighting, and they said there's not much more that they can do. I thought maybe they should come up with something else to reduce our costs. We talked about putting in motion switches for the lighting, and I'm going to look into that and see what the cost is and we'll present it at the next board. We had a problem with the fire alarm system going off. I guess the window shut in the judge's office came down, crashing down. I asked George, and for obvious reasons I didn't want to go in there, but George went in, looked at it, and he's called the people that installed it, who has worked on it in the past, and they're going to come up within the next few days, he said, to see if they can get it up and running again. Fire alarms actually go nowhere. We discussed this before about hooking up to a national monitoring system, but nothing has come about it yet, and put it in a water bug and updating our burglar alarm system. But I think the cost, it might be prohibitive this year. We'll probably have to do it in next year's budget. But we will get the fire alarm up and running again. Like I say, not that it goes anyplace, but hasn't gone anyplace for 12 years, but we'll get it up and running again. Solar project, Joe and I met with, and George met with New York Light Energy last Friday, along with the contractor that's going to be doing the excavation work and placing the concrete work, doing the concrete work with it. We looked at the 2 water sites and the town hall. They will be beginning anytime. We're just waiting for a final schedule on it. It could be the end of this week that they'll be starting, or next week. Pretty excited about it because it's certainly going to be a cost savings to the town on the electric, especially for the water district. They're anticipating a huge savings in electric costs for the water, because that's where most of our electric is going right now. And the town hall is not as much. I think we're using maybe 2,000 kilowatts a month, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. Once we get that cost lowered, we can probably get rid of what's called Tigers. Yeah, we can get rid of them. I've already talked with them about that. Told them that once we get the solar up and running, we're probably going to eliminate them. Once we get below 2,000 kilowatts, within a year, we'll go on a different rate, electric rate. So that should even be a better savings for us.
Tigers is probably $150 a month.
Yeah, that's going to be, I talked with them, and
that's just for town hall.
Yes. So that's going to be eliminated. I haven't talked to, I'm holding off on the garbage. You asked me to hold off. We don't know what is coming yet with the sheriff's department. I still think we should do that, but as the sheriff's is coming, they are coming. We just don't know when. Talked with them at length a week ago. They're still planning on coming to the town hall. They still have big plans for an addition and setting up a substation here. And I'm quite excited about that, and I think everybody on the board should be. Just the presence of another police force in town will certainly be a benefit to our town. And just as of this past Saturday, when I happened to bump into Sheriff down to the Rotterdam Mall, he said it's a go, we're just waiting. Things in the county just don't move that fast. So, as everybody knows, it's the way government is. But let's see. Other than there's a problem with the trooper barracks. There's water in the garage. Apparently the drain is plugged again. We had the contractor from that's going to be doing the excavation and the concrete work, have him look at it. He suggested that Joe was there and George and I, and he suggested that I pump it out, and then we'll see if we can dig it out and try to do something with the drainage in there. As far as the project is going for the police barracks, it's quite costly.
Mike and I are gonna be talking with the commander, what is it, from
Zone commander.
zone commander, and for what they want done as far as their upgrade for their workstations, we're talking money that is beyond our scope right now. They just, that is what they want, and what we actually have to spend is two different things, and I'm sure that we're not gonna go in debt to upgrade their workstations. We left that room vacant, we didn't paint it for that purpose, but we've got to come to some kind of an agreement on what can actually be done there. Like I said, what they want and what we want to do, what we have the money to do, is two different things. We can't do everything. They're talking things that just are...
The challenge with the contract for the folks in town hall, or the residents, is we committed to doing some improvements over the years. The challenge is there was no dollars allotted to those improvements. You know, it wasn't 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, never documented. So obviously with the cost of living, et cetera, some of the estimates we're getting in for this year's committed work far exceed what what apparently at the time was maybe a handshake and say, hey, we can do this for this much money. We can't do it for that much money. It's not working. And never mind the coming years. So it was never a dollar figure. And I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just saying this is the issue. So we're going to try to, again, negotiate with the contract or the state police and say, look, here's the reality. This is how much money we have, and this is what we can do, and, go from there.
They're looking at major upgrades for the following year too, which is, like I say, the money we have to spend and what they're looking at far exceeds what we can actually do.
Just for the folks again going with solar. So the Integris bills at the two pump stations, 290 and 220 plus the 175. So we're assuming that when the solar comes in, not only will we reduce the wattage, we're going to reduce the integrity deliverable. So, there's 500, 700 and change that we hope to save in delivery costs for the electric for those for 3 facilities. Sorry.
No, that's it. No. That's about it. That's all I have right now, Mike.
All right. I just want to know.
You got any questions? Board got any questions?
Well, I just want to touch base on the updated employee policy. So you guys should have received in your mail a note from Mike's firm that they're willing to provide employee training on various subjects. So I'm assuming in night, evenings open to this person?
Yeah, they would still be able to schedule evenings.
So maybe we'll grab a couple of nights of training for not only the board, but maybe the staff on employee policies and et cetera.
I'm very interested.
Anything for Lou?
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you for all you do, Lou. I want everybody to know how much time this guy puts in is maintaining this building. I tip my hat.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Good job, Lou.
Thank you.
Mr. Joe.
E-code. This is pretty simple. The general code company in Rochester the ball is in their court right now. And there's nothing we can do. We've turned over all of our laws and everything. And by the week of Memorial Day week, they're either going to have that week or the following week an organizational analysis for Princetown. Then that's when we, the town of Princetown, are going to have to dig in and do some homework and work with them to bring it, to its final form. And that's the only milestone in task ownership. It's all pretty simple at this point. The gazebo update, the Civic Committee had expressed concern that putting the gazebo back in the same location where we don't own property, you know, but maybe we should think about putting it in a different place. So I have, the only plot plans that I have for this building on this piece of property are dated May of 2001. It doesn't show the garage that we have out here outside of the community room. And so my, I've asked the Civic Committee to help make a proposal as to where we should put it. I'm gonna pull up Google Earth to get a current view of this property, and we're gonna work with that, and hopefully in 2 weeks, the Civic Committee can make a recommendation. In violence in the workplace, I have the Town of Glenville policy, and I'm working on that to, you know, bring it, you know, into a meaningful text for the town of Princetown. Town contracts, I've asked Carol to make a list, and she said that when she gets done with whatever she's got on her platter now, she'll give it to me. That's it. Want to do that now? Well, yeah, I mean, this goes up, falls back into the solar, the power purchase agreement with New York Light Energy. There is a monitoring system that they are working. It's a new system, and they're going to work with us to actually have a monitor out here in the lobby so that we can actually see what the savings to the town is in real time. And this will be, I think, a very good thing for bringing the awareness of energy costs and savings to the town. So we're going to be working with Mark Richardson and New York Light Energy to bring that about.
On the water system, it'll be on a weekly basis, right?
You know, every 2 or 3 days or whatever it happens to be. But the town hall will be real time. But then savings will be like on an incremental basis every 2 or 3 days when readings are taken at the pump stations on Waynesburg Road and on Gifford Church.
So just to expand a little bit on, as part of New York Energy, they wanted us to provide internet access at pump stations, which is going to cost, you know, $20 and change or $25 and change a month. And I kind of balked at it, or we balked at it. It's like, why do you need that? And it's for them really to monitor over the 20 years the activity at the station, how much power they're drawing, how much they're generating, et cetera. So what we came to the agreement was that George, who visits these stations twice a day, just record the numbers, and then once a week he'll call in the numbers. From there they can put it on their graph and track it. And then from there they can input it to their operations center that'll generate to this monitor we're going to mount. And again, the town should be able to, when you walk in, walk up to the monitor and see exactly, you know, how much you're saving, you know, per day, however you set the graphs up. So we'll need to look into that, but that's the reason why, you know, we didn't want to absorb necessarily the cost of the $20, $25 a month to, at each station, to put up a wireless internet. Although I am getting emails from Verizon that there may be even a better option, so. Yeah, so it's something to be, you know, to be followed on.
We'll listen.
All right, any questions for Joe?
Good job, Joe.
Thank you.
All right. I was gonna ask Mr. Edwards, and I'll drop him a note, just because he's probably a little more familiar with the state police lease and the contract. So if maybe Mr. Edwards can join us when we meet with the zone commander and the station commander and with Mr. Cuevas, obviously, to see what, you know, what was agreed to, what we can come to, what kind of terms we can come to. So I'll drop Mr. Edwards a note. Deputy Supervisor.
We have been talking with two banks about collecting taxes for the town. And one is the bank that we're already doing business with, and one is another bank that has expressed interest. And if we were to go ahead with that, they would collect both our school property and the water. And the town of Glenville started a program where they had barcode reading. There's a company that does that, which makes it very, very easy. Somebody comes in to pay the taxes, you just scan it, and it feeds all the information into the computer, so that's a savings too. So we'll have more on that when time comes. Even if we don't use the bank, we could use it with whoever collects the taxes for Princetown.
For both,
All three.
well, yeah, all for water and,
Water,
Property tax.
property, and school.
Thanks, Norm.
thank you, Norm. So, my turn. So water bonds. So we're into our stage here. The schedule, I'm hoping, has been posted on the website of the closings. We're getting down to it. To address Mr. Hasbrook's concern, I know we had talked about it at a couple additional meetings, but here's some rough numbers. For 3 of the 4 districts, we expect to save, or per resident, between $40 and $50 per $55,000 assessed. So that's out of 3 of the 4 districts. The 4th district, even though we've applied for the loan, it's going to increase the rates for the residents, so we're going to turn it down, as it stood a month ago. I don't see the rates changing so drastically that it's going to swing the 4th district over. So unfortunately, we're going to have to leave that one alone. Your question about the terms of the loan, they stay exactly the same, exactly. Whatever May 30, sorry?
25 years left.
On the parent district.
For each district, for each loan, added a 10, well, it'll be 9 really, but added a 10 or 9, it'll stay whatever May 31st, 47. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the question is they will stay exactly the same. The term of the loan will stay exactly the same. No change, 0. 25 years or whatever the number is, stays exactly the same. So again, I will forward you an email, or I can send to Kathy, some rough estimates. Again, when we first took the polling, it was in February, I think. We are looking to save about $350,000 over the terms over the 10 loans, over the remaining term. 2 months later, we took another poll, and the interest rates went up by 1/100%, and we lost $30,000 in savings. So we're hoping that, we will save, even if it jumps another 1/100%, we'll still save upwards of $300,000 over the terms of the 9 loans or 10 loans. Again, I'm hoping it would.
What's the new interest rate?
I don't have it in front of me. It's
Well, this
3.
is what we'd like to see. I think this is the.
This is what we're asking for, is
I understand.
these numbers need to be in front of the
I understand,
residents who are
sir.
paying the taxes.
I understand.
But you're not doing it.
Well, I thought it was posted, so I will make sure that the next assessment is posted. I'm pretty sure you had a copy, but if not, I'll make sure it's on the website.
Where is it being posted, on the website?
I will ask that the last one be posted to the website.
And what about the residents who don't have internet access? How are you gonna notify them? Oh, too bad for them, they don't get to know?
Let's leave it at the store, right, Melanie?
I'm
The question
asking.
is, I'm trying to address the question, I don't need remarks. All right? So, the question was, how much is the resident savings? In 3 of the 4 districts,
No, the question was, how are you gonna
This isn't back
notify
and
all
forth.
of the
All the
residents?
residents.
That was the
In the
question.
district, every parcel.
we
gets
will
bill.
send out a newsletter. So I'm not getting back and forth, I'm trying to answer your question. I will send you an email with it.
I want a letter, not an email. I want it written down on paper so that we can see what's going on.
Understood your question.
Apparently you didn't.
Well, I think I
You said
did.
you were gonna email.
All right, anyway, we're on schedule to close the bonds at June 20th. It looks like it's the closing date. We will publish just before the final analysis for everybody. Comprehensive plan, I think Paul addressed most of it. We're hoping to close it out. It's been a great effort by Paul and his team. A lot of churn going on, but after 8 years or whatever it is, I think we're getting close to the end. So good job, Paul, and the Comprehensive Plan Committee. Nick, I had meant to go to Google and pull down some planters. We talked about it at the recycling day. I forgot. I'll have pictures Thursday morning when we meet with Joe. I just want to make sure that Joe is okay that we put the planters out there. I was also thinking if we stagger them a little bit, one in front of the driveway, one in the other driveway, it would make too much of a zig turn for, or a zigzag, I guess, whatever it would be called, but for the trucks to go around. So we could probably just buy 2, get some flowers or something from the civic committee and plant them out there. And the reason we're trying to do this, folks, is our gazebo doesn't get ran over again if we put it out there. But if we don't put it out there, and decision by civic committees to put it on the property, then we can just maybe skip the whole thing, but maybe not. We probably don't want the war memorial to be ran over again either.
But do they actually have to plow that, that turnaround? Is it really necessary? I mean, maybe they could just plow up to it or something, you know?
What about in the summertime?
Summertime's nice, but I mean in the winter when it snows, nobody really has to use that, that I know.
All right, well, we can talk about it when we meet Joe, but I just wanted to remind you, I had it written down and I thought I'd print out some pictures today, but didn't get to it. Norman Skill, so we're still waiting for permit approvals. And once the permit approvals are done and the final design is accepted, Doug Cole and the team will go to, formulate the final bid and put it out to bid. So again, we're patiently waiting on Norman Skill. I do want to, the board came in a little early tonight to meet with what's the term I need? Challenged. A person with a disability to come in and help us at Town Hall. So it's a state-sponsored program. She'll come in, she'll get some training. My thought is she can help with sorting the mail, state stamping it, distributing the mail, making copies. It's a 2 to 3 month internship at no cost to the town. And then if there's a position open and she's accepted, then we pay her minimum wage for 3 hours a day or so. So I'm going to ask the board here tonight to to move forward with the internship. And I think that is about it for myself. Any questions from the board?
No, good job, Mike.
All right. Good job, man. Let's go to minutes. So, backtracking a little bit, we're a little bit behind on minutes approvals. So even though they're listed as separate resolutions, I'm going to suggest we vote on it as one vote. So I'm going to recommend that we reject all the minutes. And my reason is there's been just a little bit of too much political commentary in them. They're not supposed to be political, probably on both sides. Everybody's got their say, and it's just gotten out of hand. In my opinion, it's gotten out of hand. I'm suggesting going forward, we just record the business of the town and leave the politics at the lectern and for the video, but we do not record them into the minutes. Let's just kind of put this to bed. When the minutes are amended to reflect just the resolutions and town business, then we'll come back and approve them, but that's my suggestion. Do I have a motion to reject the minutes?
Mike, may I say something?
Sure.
Because I missed January and February, well, up until February 26th. Do I need to abstain?
Yes.
All right. Do I have a motion to reject the minutes as stated?
So moved. I'll second it.
Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Abstain.
Myers,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. Motion passed. Town board meeting video contract. Do I have a resolution that the town board approves a video contract as submitted by our new video person, Ben Moore, to video each monthly town board meeting and any special board meetings as requested by the town board for the fee of $100. This fee includes the creation of 5 DVDs and the upload of the video to the town website for viewing by the residents of Princetown. The 5 DVDs will be created and mailed to the attention of the town supervisor along with the monthly invoice. It's 5, right, Carol?
4 come to me and you take 1 to Princeton Cable, right?
Yes.
3 requests out for videos and 1 for the town. Yeah.
Was that the agreement?
The 5 total, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Total.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. Town board meeting, video approval. Do I have a motion that the town board approves of video, audio tape recording of May 14th, 2013, town board meeting upon viewing the town supervisor or his delegate? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll make second.
Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. New business. Sex discrimination complaint as it relates to Carol McLean. Do I have a motion that the town board retain the counsel of Mike Cuevas to defend the Princetown Town Board in a complaint filed by Carol McLean, DHR complaint? I don't have the complaint number. I don't know if we can get that, Carol, and I'll write it in for the amount not to exceed.
This is the
15.
retaliation claim, though. You should probably, don't you want to call it that instead of,
Nope.
okay?
Do you have the number by chance?
No, by chance I
You'll fill it in later, I'm assuming? Do I have a motion?
I like the motion.
I'll second.
don't. Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Joyce.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Lou.
All right. Organizational resolution for 2013. Groundskeeper for the 2013 summer season. Resolved that Harry Boulay be appointed the Town Hall groundskeeper for the 2013 lawn cutting season at a salary of $100 per cut for the Town Hall and State Police properties for the term to expire at the conclusion of the 2013 growing season. Harry will also service the lawn machines, sharpen blades, and overall maintain lawn equipment for the 2013 season. Do we have a motion?
No,
Insurance for family?
I've got something to say about this.
Nope.
There's been some comments, that we should be looking at a cheaper lawn service. I did look for, took out bids for different lawn care services. One of them was Dad's, another one he had recommended. They both came in at $230 to over $250 to mow both lawns. Harry is going to be servicing the equipment, maintaining them just like he said here he was going to do at a cost of $100. If anybody wants to step forward and do it for less and still take care of the equipment, I'd be more than happy to entertain it with him and discuss it with him and bring it to the board. But as far as I'm concerned, it's either him or hiring a lawn service and spending a lot more money. In my opinion, I think we're getting a bargain just having him be able to do the weed eating and maintaining everything and doing what he's doing. That's my opinion. I don't know how everybody else on the board feels.
I think
But
you
I
might
did
need
look
a
into
liability coverage for him, though.
I mean, you might want to look into it.
This is for town board members' discussion, Karen.
I'm just saying, I'm going to make a note that that's probably what you should do.
So that's my opinion, and I think that, I think we should keep him. I think he's doing a good job. And last year, when we had trouble with the lawnmower, he serviced it, he repaired it, saved us a lot of money, as opposed to bringing it up to Route 20 to have it repaired. I think he's doing a good job, and he, as a matter of fact, he maintains Dad's equipment. So, and even Dad said to me, you got a bargain there. So I think we should keep him. That's my opinion.
And with that, do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
Second.
Who made the first?
Joe, second by Bob.
Esposito?
Yes.
Jazinski?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes. State of the town, public notice. Do I have a motion that the town board shall hold a public meeting to present the state of the town on June 4th, 2013 at 7 p.m. at Princetown Town Hall, 165 Princetown Plaza, Princetown, New York, and be it further resolved that the town clerk place the appropriate legal notice with the Daily Gazette advertising said public hearing and otherwise posting said notice as required. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
That was you, Bob?
I second it. Joe was first.
Esposito?
Yes.
Jazinski?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yep. Highway claim. I think that's all the business we have, isn't it? Except for claims? So,
Yeah.
here's my suggestion to the board, and to the residents. The rest is approval of the vouchers and abstracts. The town board has not had a chance to go through them, so I'm making a suggestion, we kind of skip over this and table this piece of the meeting, move to final public comment, councilman concerns, and then if the audience wants to call it a night, that's great. If you want to stick around, you know, the board will stay a little bit later to review all the abstracts and vouchers and do our due diligence and approvals and no, do our due diligence. So that's my suggestion, guys. You okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
I'm good. All right. In that case, we'll table all the funding approvals for now. Is that all right, Mike?
Yeah, you're just taking them out of order.
Yeah. So in that case, let's open it up for public comment again at 8:25. The same rules apply as before.
I'm Melanie Whiteley, 3478 Pangburn Road. I have two questions. Joe, you mentioned that the Civic Committee now wants to possibly move the gazebo from the location where it was at. And you said that we don't own the property where it used to sit. Why don't we own the property? That Princetown Plaza is a town road. So we own the town road, but we don't own that little piece of dirt in the middle. I'm curious, how do we not own that? Nick, how do we not own that piece?
We own that as far as I know.
Well, how come the
The
Civic
whole-
Committee is saying we don't own it?
I don't know. I don't think we should change where the gazebo, where it's gonna go or anything. I thought it was-
No, I was just curious, because it doesn't make any sense how the town can own that whole road, but not the middle piece.
No, they own that. That's
We own
the
it,
road.
okay. Just to clarify, the highway superintendent says we own it. And also, the board you said met early tonight. Did you public notice that? Was that publicly noticed, town clerk? No. And it's supposed to be, right, Mike? To meet early, the board to meet as a quorum before the meeting time, they should have publicly noticed.
If there were quorum important, just a supervisor meeting with someone, he doesn't.
Mike said the whole board met early tonight. That's what he said.
I wasn't there, so.
But they need to if they all meet, right?
If the board meets as a whole,
Okay.
town business, then.
Thank you.
Additional public comment. Going once, twice. Public comments are closed at 8:27. Councilman concerns, we'll start, I guess, at the, with Mr. Myers.
I don't really have anything specific other than I'm just, again, I would like to see things in town get better as far as, you know, the bickering and all that goes. I've heard comments as of recent that, you know, people have seen our videos and things like that, and it's been kind of somewhat embarrassing and like that, and, you know, it's kind of tough as a councilman to hear that stuff, and so I'm one that would like to see things settle down, let us get down to business, and everybody just work together and keep our town, you know, we're a small town, we don't really need all of these problems, and I don't know, it makes it tough for me. I mean, it's, you know, we see all this stuff and hear this stuff, and when I hear it, that people are talking around lunchrooms and this and that, and they're embarrassed, it's kind of tough. So I just would like to admonish us all as grown-ups and adults, you know, if we can't just work together. I know we're not all going to agree all the time, but you know, let's learn to disagree agreeably, you know, if that's what we have to do. But other than that, I don't have much else to say. Thank you.
Mr. Joe.
I would like to stand up against all the undermining of Mike Choice as our supervisor and Lou Esposito as two of the most capable men who's worked harder for this town. And I know personally Mike Joyce puts in some long hours for this town. I also want to mention Norm Miller, who was maligned very vociferously tonight, that he and Mike and Lou have my full, undivided support, and I want the town of Princetown to understand that these are honorable men, and the allegations made against them are very unfortunate. And that's my concern.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lou.
I'd like to say that with all the negativity that we hear in the town, with all, it's surpassing all of the good that's being achieved since you've taken office and we've had a new town board. And just look at all of the things that we've accomplished, whether it's the solar project that's going to get off the ground, the refinancing of the water bonds, everything else that we have been doing over here. Everybody has been contributing. Joe, most people don't even know it, he's donated half of his salary back to the town. Mike is working tirelessly all the time on town things, especially on these water bonds. And the negativity that he's getting over it is astonishing to me. It's not even going to affect him since he doesn't live in the South End. But yet, he has worked hard to get this done. I've personally, when he asked me to step up and take over the maintenance to save the town money, over $5,000, I did it, and I'm not charging him nothing for it. I'm doing it because he asked everybody to step forward. I'm doing it. I use my own vehicle. I never put in for any mileage on it. And all of these things, and that's all we hear is the negative things about what's going on in the town. This thing with the water bonds is astonishing to me.
that we're saving the town. I live in the south end, and I'm gonna reap the benefits of their work, of our attorney's work, and of Mike's work. I had nothing to do with that project at all. That was all him and the attorney. They were the ones who got this accomplished. Nobody else here on the board did that. And for everybody here to say that nothing is being done, I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. If anybody else wants to do this and donate their time, they should step forward. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Luke.
And I think you should be commended for the amount of work you do.
Deborah, I almost
Yes.
forgot you. So, your trees. So as part of the recycling, Carl Barta from the PIAC committee has got a ton of trees.
And he has been very good. My husband helped him and another man, and they've planted them, but they're little seedlings. My concern is the two big trees. That, I guess, when they came to look at it, they thought they would maybe shadow the solar panels.
They're not white pines, but.
Oh, okay, well, whatever, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they won't grow nearly as tall as a white pine will grow.
yeah, yeah.
But they will bush out, they would make a better natural boundary for your property
Yeah.
from the pump station.
Right, and it isn't even, I've gotten used to looking at the pump station, so it's not, it's more for the water. And Carver has moved trees before for us, Mr. Carver, is that his name, Mr. Laraway? Has moved trees when they put in the pump station. But I know that this isn't any longer public portion of the meeting, but I have to say, if I could speak for 1 second, I moved here 8 years ago from Albany, where the politics are, as everybody knows, crazy. And the first year I moved here, we got letters in the mail, anonymous letters. I don't even know the cast of characters. And I went to vote, my first time voting in Princetown, and I love living here. And I told the people at the booth, I said, I've lived in Albany for 35 years, and I've never witnessed anything like this, where people are talking about people who are drunks and somebody's going out with somebody's husband. So then I come to the meeting tonight.
So when was this, like 8 years ago?
8 years ago.
8 years ago?
Yes, and I keep to myself, we keep our property, we are very happy citizens here, we love living in Princetown. But I have to say, tonight, I'm really surprised and disappointed. I don't know any of you. So it's like I don't have any dog in this fight. It's just surprising to me. I was on city council PTA in Albany where we had 20-some schools. I've attended Albany City Council where everybody knows what the politics are like in Albany. I'm just disappointed in what I saw tonight because I'm a retired teacher. And if my children in my classroom behaved the way I saw people behave tonight, I would take them outside and talk to them and say, can we please, as you said, Mr. Myers, who I don't know, could we please get along? And I mean, this is a great place to live. And I think that there's a lot of obvious great intentions here. But if we could just all kind of get on the same, I mean, I'm an outsider, so you can say, forget about her, and, forget I ever said this. But I'm just saying, it disappointed me to see the conduct tonight. That's just my personal opinion, and I'll go back to Giffords Church Road and never bother you again. So.
We will talk to Carl and New York Light Energy and see what we can do. Obviously, the other trees are.
Yeah, and Dan, did you talk with Carver?
I didn't get a chance to call him. I'll call him this week.
Because, that, if they've got,
He's got that big piece of equipment that moves trees.
I mean, that would be worth understanding how much that he would charge for something.
As compared to the cost of removing those large trees.
Right. Right.
I'll call this week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And I don't really have any concerns. I just want to make sure I had written your name down and I came back to you. So with that, folks, even though the meeting is not adjourned, it's really, at this point, you guys are welcome to stay. We're going to go through the vouchers Do we need to keep the video there, or? Should we?
Technically, the meeting is still
All right.
going.
So Ben, just bear with us, I know we're coming up on our, we'll end this at 1 hour and 59 minutes.
Is that a problem?
Boy, this would be a record, won't it?
Exactly. All right, you guys want to go through, the highway's pretty easy. Right, so this is Overlook Road for the winter of 2012-13. So I will go ahead with that. There you go. Okay with you.
Got your,
Oh, okay. Yep.
This is water.
Yeah.
I'll leave it for the second. Most senior man. Under Mike Joyce. He's the most senior man.
oh, after tonight.
I'm turning the air conditioning on next week.
Below the budget.
The air conditioning is coming on.
Was that a joke?
The air conditioning is coming on.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm fine. It's still snowing where I am. Doo-doo-doo.
We've done highway, transfer,
Yeah, so we're pretty much, that was just one.
Oh, front door. We got some, I'll work with Mike. What I probably need to do is really set up a conference call so we can all sync up schedules.
Yeah, whenever you're. My time, you guys want to get together and talk to the state police about it, see what we can do there, so I think it's way out there. I just can't.
Court security is $6,800.
I am turning the air conditioning.
All right, I'm good.
And the guy out there.
You guys ready? Do you want to look at these?
Yeah. Did you look at it?
Yeah.
Carnival? No, that's the policy before us. Doesn't want some.
I talked to these guys already.
No, I just want to look at national currency. Sorry. No, that's all right. See, they put us on the time of use in there, Joe. Every time you go over 2,000 kilowatts, if you go over 3 months within a 12 months period, over 2,000 kilowatts, they put you on a time of use meter. And it takes a year to get off of it. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta go a full 12 months, not going over 2,000 kilowatts. But if you go over 3 months, within a 12-month period, they put you on. Because I argued with them about one time with my laundromat that
You guys ready to roll? All right. Highway claims. Do I have a motion that the town board approves the claim of claim 2, in the amount of $1,270 for plowing of Overlook Lane for the winter of I didn't say that.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yep.
Myers.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yep. Pass down, sir. Highway transfers. Do I have a motion that the town board approves the transfer of $1,270 from general fund number 99019 to highway fund 5031 for plowing of Overlook Lane?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Myers. Joyce.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you, sir. General funds claims, oops. Could you get the book, please?
Oh.
I just got right in the
I'll
claim.
get it signed afterwards.
Gracias. Do I have a motion the town board approves the claims number 105 through claims 137 in the amount of $36,202.05?
So moved.
I'll second.
Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yep.
Myers. Joyce.
Yes.
Yes, yes. 37, 36, 202, 05. And pass this down, sir. I think so. General fund transfers, 2013. Do I have a motion that the town board approves the following transfers? For contingency fund 19904, account number 19904, the amount of $52 to the ZRC Comprehensive Plan Professional Service, account number 80351, for the reasons under budgeted.
So moved.
I'll second.
Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yep.
Myers.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. And we already did work on things, didn't we? Highway.
Now we need to do water again.
Couple real quick. Do I have a motion that the town of Porter's, the town board approves claims 33 through 47 in the amount of $16,116.38?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. And do I have a motion to adjourn at 8:45?
Yes.
On time and under schedule.
Is this another record? Yes.
Oh, so Bob's yes for the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
You guys can drag it out if you want.
No.
Did everyone approve?
Yes.
Correct.
8:45.